The Golden Boot Pod is proud to announce that merchandise is now available. We have everything from t-shirts and hoodies, to hats and beanies, to drinkware, to wearables and blankets. You can find it all under the merchandise tab at thegoldenboot.podbean.com or go directly to thegoldenboot.com. As always, thank you for supporting the Golden Boot Pod.
The views and opinions expressed in the Golden Boot podcast are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Golden Boot podcast as a whole.
Welcome back to another edition of the Golden Boot. It's your boy Pooh Bell. I got my man Aunt Petty Murphy in the building. I got Daniel D. Williams in the building. And we got Chris Honeybun in the building. And before I even get started, go Tigers and who that? How everybody doing this evening?
Good, bro. How y'all doing?
Good, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I feel a lot better than what I did last weekend, bro.
It's facts.
I don't know who to thank more. I don't know if I need to thank the good Lord above. I don't know if I need to thank the coaching staff. I don't even know if I need to thank the football gods for blessing us with all this just craziness in football yesterday. To quote Preston Guy, it's feeling real 2007-ish in here.
I like it.
That's big expectations, but we'll see.
No, not necessarily LSU from LSU side, but all the upsets.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm with you. Yeah. I'm with
you. Yeah, so.
Well, most of them upsets happened late in the year, didn't it?
No, they were starting early. At one point, 3 weeks in a row, everybody who had the number 5, who was ranked number 5, lost.
Wow.
So. Look, whenever I was at the game yesterday. And whenever I saw the fact that Notre Dame went down in real time, I saw A&M went down in real time, and I knew LSU was going to win. I mean, what kind of Saturday? I mean, come on, man. You got 102,000 people in the stadium, your people with you.
The only way yesterday would have been better is if Texas could have pulled it off.
Facts.
So I got a good one. My best friend's an Alabama fan, and he went on Instagram right after the game, and he said his first words were, "I know y'all, the whole nation was pulling for us to lose, but God pulled us through." And I was thinking, God ain't the reason for everything, bro. Ain't the reason for everything. That just ain't,
Hey, but I'm gonna tell you too, man. Like,
let me rephrase that because I don't want to offend nobody. He ain't the reason for that.
Yeah, football. Yeah.
My thing is Texas, even though the score says they lost, to me that's still a win. That's a win because how many people said Texas was going to get blown out? They was going to get curbed.
That's not a win. You lost. They lost.
Yeah, they lost the game, Chris. They lost the game, but at the same time. Last week, people were saying Alabama was the number 1 team in the nation, right? Or like right now, close number 2. Right, 1A is Georgia, 1B is Alabama.
He's right though, because the AP last week thought that
I get it. Yeah. I mean, I get that part. I get that. I don't see even after last week seeing. I mean, Alabama played Utah State. They were crisp or whatever. But what Georgia did to Oregon really made us question Oregon's existence. Did Oregon become Oregon State overnight? You know.
Well, I mean, if
They
we're being
snuck
honest,
back in the top
Oregon is.
25 though.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
I said Oregon snuck back in the top 25.
Why?
I mean, I'm just saying they in there, but I don't. Yeah.
Texas A&M still in it too.
Yeah, Notre Dame isn't though.
Right.
So you know
I
what?
do-
Let's go ahead, Nick.
Well, I was gonna say I do think USC is gonna win the Pac-12. So USC looks really good.
I still
I
say
think
Utah.
Utah is.
Yeah,
Utah, that's true.
Utah.
I forgot. Yeah. So let's get to it. Brambo, I see your question. We're gonna get to that in a minute, but let's jump to this. LSU's game versus Southern. This game was big for outside of just. I mean, it was big before week one, just because of what everybody knew it was going to mean. But then it became bigger after the loss to Florida State because it was like, hey, we got to see what we look like. We got to see what we're going to do. You know, how we going to move the ball. Blah blah blah. Initial reactions, and while we do that, I got the stats right here. So,
Cool.
Initial reactions.
Who want to go first?
I'll say this: the quarterback competition is over. If there was anybody who thought there was a quarterback competition, I mean, I think you see why Jaden Daniels is QB1. The way the offense looked with him in the game versus the way the offense looked with Nussmeier in the game was two completely different offenses. Nussmeier did make some big plays with the pass to Malik Neighbors and some other plays, but he also had turnovers and he also punted for the first time. Well, our offense punted for the first time under him. So I think that it goes to show that the reason why Jaden Daniels was the QB1 was what we saw last night. Nussmeier, as talented as he is, he has a tendency to turn the ball over. And Jaden Daniels is more efficient and take care of the ball better. And the offense just looks better and smoother under Jaden Daniels.
Brambo in the chat says the game was lit. My fiance and son and me had a great time. The Nuss discussion is over. Miss Kim says I agree, Ant. And Adam said, "What up, Boot Crew? What's good, Adam?"
What's up,
Adam? Look, let me say this about Nuss. Nuss is one of those guys, and I'm still on the Nuss bus. I still think Nuss is a very talented guy, but I do believe Jaden is QB1, and that's it. That's the end of the discussion. But with Nuss,
I hope you're wearing a seatbelt on that bus and a helmet.
I got you. But
it's not really a bus anymore. It's more of a roller coaster.
Okay,
it's a lot of ups and downs on with the Nuss.
Well, let me say this. With Nuss, you get a play where he comes and he throws an interception, and it's like, what was that? Who were you throwing the ball to? It looks like he was trying to hit the tight end, and he was trying to read the right. He was just trying to do too much. Man, on that play, simply throw the ball out of bounds. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Take a sack.
Yeah, throw the ball out of bounds. You're out of the pocket. But
make a better decision ultimately.
Right, but also you get a play where he comes back and he throws a 60-yard pass. Was that Malik Neighbors or was that Brian Thomas?
That when he threw straight in the air or whatever.
I mean, that was an excellent pass. It was right on the money. You know what I'm saying? It was perfect. So I mean, it's one of them things to where it's going to be hit or miss. You're going to get a big play or you're going to get a turnover. So it's one of them things.
Daniel Pooh don't think that was a great pass.
That's fine. He doesn't have to. I seen in real time, bro. It looked like it was a dime, in my opinion. But the kid has a lot of growing up to do, man. Whenever it comes to football, and I still think he's super duper talented, but he got a lot of work.
Yeah, I agree. He's talented, but I think right now we see that there's a gap between him and Jaden.
Oh, facts.
To clarify, the pass that he threw, I think it was more of a what we've been saying, the gunslinger thing. It really did look like he kind of threw it and it fell in his hands. He slowed down for it, and
quit, bro. Stop.
No, seriously, the way, bro. Okay,
Go ahead and finish.
Watching on TV.
Okay.
If that was any other team, if that was a FBS opponent, that's a jump ball or that's a interception.
Pooh, he ran right under the
Okay,
ball.
hold on, Daniel.
All right.
He ran under. Okay.
If we're gonna do that Jaden Daniels passed to Brian Thomas, if that was Mississippi State or Alabama, he wouldn't
That's a
have called
pick.
Yeah,
Pick.
I mean, I have no qualms with that. No qualms.
That's a
But
pick.
I can also look at the history of who's throwing what kind of passes and say,
I think that both of those passes are 50-50 at best. Completions against another opponent. But the different at both of them, I think that's fair to say. But the difference is we saw more of those type of passes from Nussmeier than we saw from Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, no, I agree with that point. I agree. But look, I'm gonna tell you, guys, I am excited to see John Emery next week. I really am, because the running back room is shaky right now. Look, I know that we had some guys. I'm pulling up my stats right here. I can't really see your stats.
"What
Pooh.
what you mean you can't see them?"
It's
So,
perfect.
It's,
It's beautiful.
But look, Amani Goodwin, he rushed for 108 yards.
It's right down the screen for you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, Amani Goodwin rushed for 100. Wait, that must be for the season. But anyway, he rushed for 50 yards, or 85 yards. Noah Kane, 51 yards. I just wasn't impressed.
So
I agree.
Chris said the same thing. This is my thought.
wasn't
So
impressed.
we say that about the running backs. They had 230 yards and 5 touchdowns. Granted, it's Southern. I think the difference in this game and last game, the running game was sporadic.
Yeah.
You would get a big play, a big run here or there or whatever, but it wasn't like run, pass, or run, pass. It was like all of a sudden you were like, oh, they ran the ball, and oh, they picked up yards, and all of a sudden you look up and Goodwin's got 85 yards, Kane's got 51. Butte had the big run. So
Cool. You're not finna throw me them 230 yards when Nick DeMoss has 2 rushes in the game. So that tells you all you need to know about the competition.
he had two rushes for 3 yards though, Chris.
If it was anybody else, he wouldn't have nothing.
Okay.
I mean, I get what you're saying, Chris. I mean,
All right.
now of course we know that the competition is not to the same level. Southern is still a great SWAC football team. They're gonna win a lot of games this year. Don't get me wrong with that. But
Yeah.
if we're
Producer
being
says
completely-
now
Go ahead.
imagine Florida State rushing for 400 yards now against Duquesne, but yeah, Duquesne.
That's my point. What I was gonna say kind of ties into what he said. We played at FCS school. We ran for 230. Florida State played at FCS school. They ran for 403.
Right.
Mhm.
We should be closer to 400 than 200. You know what I mean? We should.
I understand.
I think a lot of it has to do with the play calling and the consistency of it.
That could be true. That could be, and I'm not knocking the running backs completely. I'm just speaking as far as the run game and whole, play calling, execution. The running backs, everything. We should at least had one guy go over 100. You know what I mean? We should have had closer to 300 yards instead of 230. That's just especially with Jaden Daniels only having 18, 14, or whatever the case may be.
I mean, I think too, we're used to seeing those backs like Fournette, like Geis, like stars. Not saying that we don't have future stars now, but a lot of those guys come in and they ready to rock and roll. So honestly, I'm hoping
We got one. He's suspended.
I
we
just
don't know that.
I don't
We don't
necessarily
know.
think we got to have a running game like that, because 2019 running game wasn't that dominant like we saw Fournette, guys. And some of
16.
them.
That boy ran for
I think
16.
it was.
But
Yeah.
hold on, it was, but it didn't like the way you didn't run the ball first. Like you wouldn't run dominant. You used the pass
At
game
the beginning of the season. Right.
Yeah,
At the
you
beginning
used
of
the
the
pass
season.
game.
Yes.
You used the pass game to open up the run. And right now, we don't really have a run game, so all we can really do is pass the ball. And
Run and beat Alabama.
we
I'll
quarterback run and beat Alabama.
Yeah. I just want to say this. We're saying the running game's not good and not to expectation. Okay.
I'm not gonna
I
say
hear
it's not
you.
good. It's just not there yet.
Amani Goodwin had an average of 7.1 yards per touch. Noah Kane 5.1 yards per touch. Walker Howard 5 yards per touch. Josh Williams 3.4. Jaden had 6, but I'm not really counting him because that's
Okay.
I'm
so
just saying on average 6.4 yards per touch.
Right, but let me say this too. You're supposed to do that. God, you're
36
supposed to have 10 yards per touch against the competition that you're playing against. You know what I'm saying? Like, if my thing is, I'm not trying to make it seem like we're saying, oh, the guys played a terrible game. We just have to be consistent. They have to gel. We have talented guys.
Calling, though. Part of that is the play calling. Like,
I was gonna say, because we were saying that last year, the running game, we don't, saying have a running game, and then all of a sudden we're just blocking scheme, thanks to Dr. Marucci seeing something against Florida. That's still the craziest story. But seeing, blocking scheme change, and all of a sudden we ran for 287 against Florida, and then saying we got 1,000-yard back again.
Right.
So I'm not necessarily ready to say it's the running game. It's not. I just think maybe the blocking scheme ain't. We still adjusted O-line.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like it's. I think we're okay, but I do think we are missing. I think we're going to get it right. Brad Davis has shown over last year. You know what I'm saying? He can adjust the line of scrimmage as far as whenever it comes to the scheme. Once those guys gel, everybody gets on the same page. That stuff is going to open up. I just hope that whenever we get John Emery back, he is that talented guy right now that we are missing. We don't have a star. We don't. If I'm being honest, we don't have a star right now.
We don't have any.
We don't have a running back that's explosive.
Bingo. That was my point. We don't have any explosiveness.
Yeah. So I'm hoping he comes in next week, man, and kills it.
All right. So what players stood out to you? I'm
gonna go with
Amani
Chris Hill.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Amari Godwin. Yeah, that's who stood out with me.
Yeah, Amani Goodwin. Actually, him breaking that long run, I was like, that is impressive. But you got to finish it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But of course, he ran into his guy. But
he ran the Will Campbell. The funny part about it, I don't know if how it was for y'all being in the stadium or seeing it on TV. It's like he's running along. Will Campbell's right there with him, and if he makes a different cut, he's in the end zone. He runs into
play that back. Will Campbell running with him.
He runs into Will Campbell, and it's like a bug running into a car, and then he just laying on the ground.
Yeah, then Will Campbell did the Gertie in the end zone. I'm like, all right, dog, I see it, dog.
He did the Gertie.
The Gertie?
The gritty?
The gritty, the Gertie, the girdle. Well, y'all know what I'm talking about.
You be the first one to call me old or say something like that. And you, boy.
Hey, I'm 31.
I'm gonna go with who Adam said though. Harold Perkins.
Nice.
Yeah, Perkins played.
I'm going with Greg Penn on defense.
Like I said he would.
Yeah.
Greg Penn was trying to kill people yesterday.
He said we'd love to see him return kicks or take a few carries.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, go ahead, and now I'll get to that. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead, bro.
Speaking of that, returning kicks. Clayton Jr. Let me find the guy's name, so I don't want to mess up his name.
Lusher product.
It's Lutcher.
Gregory Clayton Jr. Had 2 punt returns. He fair caught. Well, not he didn't have 2, but he had 1 for 18 yards, and he had like several just fair catches and stuff. First of all, I've never been more excited. I was never more excited for a fair catch in my life.
Hey, we forgot another one. Adam said Baskerville.
We ain't done.
Yeah, we ain't done. So.
Brian Thomas. I mean,
right. We just doing offense right now.
I wish I was just doing anybody.
Yeah, I'm just throwing everybody out. Yeah.
All right. Well, because I want to go heavy on the defense, dog.
Go ahead.
Baskerville needs to be on the field.
Yes, he does.
Okay. he needs. Even last week, he showed whenever he got on the field that he can make some plays. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to
Chris
Pooh
Hill
boy
should be one of the first three receivers out.
Desmond Little. He had him and Savion both
Great
had
game.
good games. Yeah.
Let me bring. I can bring up the stats too. Before I do that, Jonathan Burris in there said you guys are comparing apples to oranges. Florida State in their first game centered their play calling around the run game. Yesterday, Nuss was still throwing in the third quarter. The real stat to look at is yards per carry because Nuss was running the offense well into the third quarter.
That's fair.
when you're getting when you're getting 6.4, that's great against Alabama, against a Florida State. But whenever it's Southern, 6.4 should be 10. And I know that's high, but man, we were up 51, but we were up 37 in the first quarter, and you could not run the ball. You couldn't get any consistency on the ground. I mean, I'm just being real.
I'm not gonna say that because we scored our first few. Well, we scored.
I mean, you gotta look at the
touchdowns off
turnovers.
the run.
Though. You gotta look at the turnovers where we're at.
That's a fair point he making though, because Florida State ran the ball for 7.5 per carry against Duquesne. They just ran the ball 50 something times. So that's a fair point.
Yeah, so we still need that explosive back, man. That's what I'm waiting on.
All right,
but anyway, go ahead.
No. We were talking about defense, and I'll bring their stats back up. Bring the stats back up. Harold Perkins led the team with tackles. Savion Jones had 6 tackles, 3 solo, half a sack, a tackle for loss, pass, basically a tip pass. Desmond Little, shout out to 251. Says 6 tackles, 2 solo, a tip pass. He also had this up here too, 2 fumble recoveries, which I'd say he's running 4, golly. But yeah, what is this? That can't be right. It's got to be like yards or something. But anyway,
I'll also say
Wes Weeks.
Wes Weeks balled also. That kid is fast.
Yeah, he's a lot faster than I expected him to be. I would say that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I
think. Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
I was just saying we getting this brother next year, so we get a couple more, about 4 more years at least of it.
I think that the QB competition is pretty much wrapped up, but I think the linebacker room, I don't think that competition is wrapped up yet.
I don't even think you can. I don't even think you can say it's pretty much wrapped up for the quarterback. It's done.
Yeah, it's done.
It's done. Linebacker, I do think I agree with you. It seems like it's still. We got some talented guys.
Yes.
Roderick says, Jonathan says, Adam, of course, said Baskerville was his standout player. Jonathan says Baskerville is our best linebacker. And Roderick, shout out, what's good? Roderick says, I like Mike Jones, but there's no way, bro.
I agree.
Mike Jones in the middle seems to be
I don't know.
problem.
I don't like that fit for Mike as the Mike.
Yeah.
I like him on the outside because he has great coverage skills, but whenever it comes to attacking, that guard in the run game, I think
Harold Perkins need to be in the starting line. Though I don't care if he is a freshman.
No, Chris, I think you overshoot.
Alabama started a freshman the 2019 season,
and we smashed him.
You know why? Do you know? Hold on. Do you know why they started a freshman? 2019?
Because one of them got hurt. But when you can,
all the linebackers got hurt.
Two of they're both their inside linebackers got hurt, so they had to start a freshman.
But this freshman looked better than your starters.
Chris,
I mean, I'm not saying that, but at some point you do have to let him get up to speed.
I don't know if he looked better than Baskerville.
No, I think this is what is happening with Perkins. Perkins, go get the ball. Perkins, read this. Whenever you're playing linebacker, normally you have to read the A gap.
Perkins got
both
that
A
speed
gaps.
that
It's a lot of reading. You got to call a defense.
Years, that's what he has. He has that speed.
Yeah, but it's a lot more than in speed. Whenever you got to make calls on defense, there's a reason why Mike Jones is the captain of your defense.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't just put a freshman out there and say, "Hey, you're the most athletic linebacker we have. Go run out."
I'll say this, Chris. I do agree. Harold Perkins needs to be out there more. He needs to get them looks and get that. But as far as just like straight out the gate, saying he needs to be starting and stuff. I don't know if I'm there yet.
I'm
I
not.
don't know if I'm there. I do think he needs definitely be in that rotation, big time.
I would say Baskerville need to be a starter.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I agree. I do think he a little bit light in the butt to play middle linebacker. You know what I'm saying? But
Jason Brumville,
Linebackers
Baskerville's a
get
true middle
smaller, bro.
linebacker.
It's not
Jones
the
on the
80s.
outside. He's not a thumper. So
I think the days of being a thumper are really over with for the most part.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Over.
Man,
It's over.
you have a Devin White, but Devin White's still able to run from sideline
sideline
to
to
sideline.
sideline, right?
I mean, so
Exactly.
But at the same time, how much does Mike Jones weigh? How much does Baskerville? Devin White was still 235,
I
240.
but
I don't even know if it's
Devin White different because he's a deer, bro. He's able to run from sideline to side. He's able to run like he's 215, 220, even though he's 235. You know what I mean? Like you can't expect everybody to be 235 to be able to run sideline to sideline like he can.
Exactly.
I mean, we don't have to really spend much time on this, but I think if you have two solid outside linebackers, which we do, and you have a guy that you can stick in there that can hold it down whenever it comes to the run game, I think that's a plus. I think, man, especially with our defensive interior, we're gonna need our linebackers to be amazing.
Who you trying to put as the Mike then?
Give me Baskerville.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, give me back. I mean, because that's all I've seen so far.
He ain't gotta be a thumper, bro. Like he's willing to stick his head in there enough in the running game and attack downhill to where he can get the job done. But he's got the range to kind of be sideline to sideline.
Right.
Just like Damone Clark was.
Bingo.
Yeah. But Damone Clark was a thumper too, though.
Patrick Queen, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
you don't gotta be Ray Lewis and not
Don't run it like you said, them linebackers gone, buddy.
But even Patrick Queen wasn't a middle linebacker. He wasn't that middle linebacker.
I thought Patrick did play inside linebacker.
Yeah,
I'm saying it was him and Joker Phillips.
Yeah, Phillips played the outside linebacker.
Phillips was the main. He was the middle linebacker. It don't matter, man. I give. Look, I want to see Baskerville just like y'all.
All right, let me ask y'all this: scheme. What's something that y'all like that as far as scheme wise that we did? Offense.
I like
defense?
that brought Jay Ward to the slot to cover because he is a converted cornerback.
Yeah, I like that too. It made Greg Brooks look more comfortable. You know what I mean? Not having to kind of be the coverage guy.
Yeah.
But offensively, I like the passing concept. I like that they ran more crossing routes and stuff like that to where Jaden could kind of look straight ahead and not have to try to scan the field as much. All his reads was kind of right in front of him. And then I like that they took more shots with him too. And Nussmeyer too.
Yeah. I honestly I like whenever they run up tempo offense. Yep. It seems like they keep it a lot simpler. Jaden doesn't have too many reads. Yeah. The wide receivers run a lot more quick concept routes, and I just think it just looks smoother, in my opinion. But I mean, I love the way they use Jaden. His athleticism is second to none, man. We haven't had a quarterback with his athletic ability in a long time. So I like it.
Yeah. As far as I do want to point something out about Jaden. The whole he just looks to run narrative is over. He literally the play, and if you look at the play where he drops back, they converged, the pocket collapsed, and he escaped and got right to the line of scrimmage and then threw it to Malik Neighbors. When Miss Jackson came into space and she told him, "We scramble with a purpose." People should have known then. And he literally has shown it. He's always looking downfield, and if he doesn't see something, then he goes.
Right.
So, yeah, I think I like the way they kind of went back to Boutte early in the game too. You know what I mean? Just to kind of get him engaged in the game early, to where he wouldn't be checked out, and some of that stuff we saw last week wouldn't be happening. And I like the way they were creative in getting him the ball, the jet sweep, and some of the, it wasn't just run a 7 route, run a 9 route, whatever the case may be. They were a little more creative with it.
Right.
K-Sub must have that game speed because he don't look like one of the burners. I
Yeah.
get them this week.
Man,
And
he
then-
got track speed, man.
Yeah, Roderick says y'all caught how Seven was liking the changes. Yeah.
Getting the ball.
I go ahead.
I'm gonna tell you like this, man. I'm ready to see Besh go crazy. I'm not lying to you. I'm hoping during SEC play this Mississippi State game because he's a mismatch nightmare. So I
They
mean,
got too many dogs in front of him, bro.
he a dog too, Chris.
He is, but them other boys are bigger dogs.
Yeah.
Like I got Beagles, so I got some dogs that's good, but I got some that's better. Don't mean they suck. They good. They put meat on the table. But this dog I'm taking this dog to town to win.
I got you.
Hey, I heard that, Chris. That is the most. Hey, so I will say the biggest smile I did see on K-Shun's face, at least on from TV when TV called him, was when that guy basically took that casual stroll on the field, and security had to come out and get him because So the video show he literally just walks out there. He stops. In the middle of a play. And he just stops and puts his hands on his hips, and he's just looking around. Police walk up to him. And he pulls back. He pulled back like, "Hey, I'm supposed to be here. What are you doing? Why are you talking to me like that?" So,
well, see, I was on the other end of the stadium, so I'm trying to follow the football. You know what I mean? There was a play to the other side, and so I see the tackle, and then I look up. Next thing I know, I see the security, and I'm like, they must be a streaker. You know what I mean? Like I didn't realize till afterwards the dude just strolled like he was going to check his mailbox. You know what I mean? Like he was going to get the morning paper.
And I was right there
out here.
I didn't see it. I didn't see anything until I heard the student section go crazy. You know what I'm saying? So it was
hilarious.
I bet it was a bet.
Nah, he was intoxicated, and he was high or drunk or something or both. It was awful. But,
he was the influence of something.
Yeah. So I go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, because I was going to say we did a poll Saturday morning, just kind of see where everybody thought. Where was their mind at? So our Pulse of the People poll of the week, we asked, what are you most looking forward to in today's game versus Southern? This actually was not as, I think because of the Florida State loss, this changed. But Band was at 41.2%. Game was at 39%. Tailgate at 16.9%. And then other at 2.9%. And in the comments, some of the comments were, we're looking forward to both, or we're looking forward to all of them, or we're looking forward to.
I picked other.
Yeah, so let me go ahead.
The honey buns.
I accidentally picked other though.
Right. Chris, you got like 4 accounts. You could have just voted again.
Kevin Durant.
All of them burner accounts. But let's go ahead and show the people kind of some of the things from yesterday.
Ladies and gentlemen, notice the rock, the high step, the movement, and the groove. The Southern University marching band is often imitated, but never ever duplicated.
I think Ant enjoyed that more than anybody.
That brought Ant back to the barbecue days.
Nah, bro, I'm telling you, it was a woman 2 rows in front of me. She was a Southern fan. And whenever they started playing the Cupid Shuffle, she didn't stand up none during the first half, during none of the halftime. When they started playing that, she stood up and she started hitting the keyboard. Everybody around me started yelling and singing the song and stuff. But I should have got her on camera, but man, she was enjoying that, bro.
I think honestly, I think the highlight for me, bro, is the fact that Southern opened the game with Nick.
Yeah, as soon as the national anthem was over, they played Nick.
They play. I mean, and the stadium went crazy. I mean, it just started off right.
What threw a lot of people off was the fact that Southern did the halftime score.
That's so normal though for them. But I know a lot of people haven't.
A lot of LSU fans aren't really familiar with HBCU culture, so they've never seen that before. But I've seen Southern do that before. I've seen other schools do it before.
I've seen Southern come to a Senior Bowl and do that. But
yeah, it was people going crazy and oh my God, they did the score. Y'all see that? Oh my God.
Yeah.
How did they know what the score was going to be? Oh my God.
So and from what I understand too, I was hearing that Southern didn't even bring their entire band.
Nah,
you know what I'm saying? So, but they still was loud.
It's like
I mean, like the people around the LSU fans.
Probably did. I know they got more.
Yeah, I mean the LSU fans that were around, everybody was just excited about the halftime show. Everybody was. I mean, the game it's 51-0 at halftime. You still got a packed stadium. You know what I'm saying? It's 31-37-0 at the end of the first quarter. Everybody's still in their seats. And it was just a good time. You know what I'm saying?
I got a question for y'all too that went to the game.
Go ahead, Chris.
What was the coldest song y'all heard Southern play?
I would say Nick. I just wanted to hear Nick.
Y'all didn't hear it, but ESPN when they would go to commercial break and come back, they were playing Nick.
Nice.
But as you said, a lot of our fans don't know about a lot about the HBCU culture. That's why they should tune in to us at the HBCU Hour. But we also got somebody who's I'm gonna say an expert on it because he's lived in it and been immersed in it. With the soul, bring it back to the show with the soulful voice. I heard they call him LB Score because he be doing the commentary for the games. But we got our man Jamie Walker back in the building. Jamie, welcome back to the Golden Boot.
What's going on, y'all? How you feeling?
All right.
There you go, my boy.
Hold on, man. You sleeping on the dog? I got it.
My bad, Pooh. I was responding to one of our people in the chat, man. My bad.
Oh, you good? but Jamie, welcome back. We wanted to bring you on because yesterday was historic as far as the crossover between PWI, HBCUs, not just for LSU and Southern, but also way out west in Hollywood, Alabama State, and UCLA. Some people don't know. I didn't know this. I was told by one of our Miss Nikki. I don't know if she's in the chat tonight, but Miss Nikki told us not only was that UCLA's first time playing the HBCU, that was their first time playing the FCS, period. So I come to you and I bring you on because I know you cover, or we bring you on rather. How significant was it, those two games, with, regardless of what the outcomes, the scores and stuff, how significant were those two games?
I think when you're talking about PWIs playing, especially high level Division I PWIs playing HBCUs, it is always significant. There's a couple of different philosophies when it comes to playing those games, but I think depending on if you like them or not, it is truly significant. They call them money games, and it does bring, or it can really do some things for your budgeting. But along with that, especially the West Coast PWIs that play HBCUs, you get a chance to expose them to HBCU culture. A lot of it you get to see on TV. It's almost like, all right, you don't have HBCUs out in that area. So I think it's used as a recruiting tool as well. For years, Grambling used that as a recruiting tool, being able to go to the West Coast and actually recruit those players. And you can see the pipeline between, especially California players and Grambling players that have come, to the South to actually play ball. Because there's a lot of athletes out there. I know, with us being in the South, Southeast in particular, Southeast, Southwest, whatever you want to call it, you're talking about players that are all over. But there are also players in California and really just out on the West Coast in general that don't get to see HBCU culture. So playing those types of games, especially when you're talking about in the Pac-12, is significant because you don't have those schools out there. They're concentrated in one spot. So whenever you get that opportunity, if it's affordable, number one, if it doesn't impact your team greatly, it definitely does from a financial standpoint. But along with that, I think from a cultural standpoint, where people, because you have a huge concentration of people that migrated to that area that know the culture. So not being able to see it on a regular basis, that's huge.
Yeah, I think another thing Grambling did was the Rose Bowl parade. It's always having their band out, being seen by those people out on the West Coast. The band, they see the band, so then they start knowing who Grambling is. The next thing you know, Grambling plays a football game out there, and you have all those people who already know the brand, so they know, they start being involved with the football program also. But I want to ask you about another. Speaking of Grambling, you made a tweet a few not too long ago about them being able to put up points next week. What you feeling? What you looking at, man? What you thinking?
Look, I mean, they got, Jackson State. They travel to Jackson State next week. Jackson State, had a hard-fought victory against Tennessee State in the Southern Heritage Classic, which I think really is good for them because, the world was feeling them after the beatdown of FAMU. And so to kind of come back down to earth early in the season, you can already kind of see the corrections that they'll need to make. But just in general, Grambling playing, I think it was Northwestern
State. Yeah.
Northwestern State. I think looking at that game and looking at that replay, I think it was hard in their first game against Arkansas State to see where in the world the offense was going to come from. Hugh Jackson being an offensive guy, offensive guru, quarterback guru, and that it was just painful to watch that Arkansas State game. So going into this game and looking at the replay, because I didn't see it originally, they found ways to score. Maurice Washington at the running back position, look, he looks like the real deal. And really, he was one of those pieces that were already in there in general. But, it was always a question of who was going to play quarterback in the world.
Bingo.
And so now that they kind of have the ball, kind of that they're getting control. They're on
confidence. Yeah, we lost a little bit of your audio, Jamie.
Oh, my fault.
Oh, yeah.
And they scored 41 points before, the half was over with in a whole bunch of different ways. So when you're looking at the ways this team can score now, hey, they may be able to put up some points next week against JSU.
Speaking of that, hold on. I want to get to this. Jason Brumfield in the chat got a prediction. He say Graham 24, Jackson State 17.
Jason bumped his head.
I say this though, like last week, the Carter Hawkins, he got hurt and he got knocked out of the game versus Arkansas State. So I think that played a big factor in them not being able to move the ball. But I was kind of surprised by the amount of explosive plays I saw from Graham yesterday. They had multiple touchdowns of 25, 50, 60 yards. And I think they even had a 70-yard pass for a touchdown. So if they can have a quick strike offense like that against Jackson State, I think they'll be able to hang around. But Jackson State defense is it's tough to move the ball consistently down and drive down the field on them. So they'll need some of that explosiveness next week.
If I could also add something to this conversation, please. Grambling played Northwestern State University. So let's not
hold on. I get what you're saying. But it's the talent gap between Grambling and Northwestern State is not like a talent gap between say LSU and Southern. So it's not that. It's not.
But Grambling is a better program than Northwestern.
They definitely better. But once again, it's not necessarily about the score or anything like that. It's about what we saw and how that can translate to who they're playing next week. It's not. I'm not saying they're gonna beat Jackson State 57-24 or whatever they beat Northwestern by. But if they can take some of that, some of the things that worked against Northwestern, and keep improving on that week by week, then that's how you're able to compete against Jackson State. Work on that. If you can get that explosive offense to next weekend, them same kind of 60-yard plays and flip the field in one play, then you have a chance.
So I just want to tie this in for some of our viewers, because Jason brings up a good point. He says Tennessee State held Jackson State all game. I'll say this: the way Texas and Alabama played yesterday, don't think that does not give a script to the rest of the teams that Alabama plays on how to play and possibly beat Alabama just because they didn't. Just Tennessee State may not have won, but we saw Jackson State put up points at will on Florida A&M, who Florida A&M is not no pushover. So, I mean, don't be surprised if Grambling doesn't. I mean, Hugh Jackson, come on.
If Jackson State lose, it'll be the same way they lost last year in the bowl game.
Can't say that.
I tell you like this too, man. I mean, of course, we know that this is college football and anything can happen any Saturday, any given Saturday. And but these are college kids who sometimes they overlook their opponents. Sometimes they may not focus as hard on the game plan and pay attention.
This is a classic game. This is a what you call it. I get what you're saying, but I'm not buying that Jackson State overlooked Tennessee State on this one.
No, I actually think Tennessee State came to play. I think they're structured different. When you're looking at the way they're structured in Eddie George's image, they're a power running team that likes to go play action. And so, when you're talking about that front four of Jackson State being able to stop the run, that's why they weren't able to score any points. And even defensively, I know you said they stopped Jackson State and they did keep them out the end zone. But if you look at their yardage total, they still were able to go up and down the field. So it was kind of a bend but not break, situation. But I think if Grambling, and like I said, I think, team for team, I think Tennessee State is probably a little more talented as far as being put together offensively than Grambling will be. But I think Grambling has some pieces if they are able to run the football just a little bit. Because I think Draylon Ellis is a good runner for Tennessee State. They held him in check. So I think if Maurice Washington can, kind of get something going, it'll be one of those offensive line games. So it just depends. If Jackson State is able to get pressure with their front four and keep everything in the box, it's going to be a long day because it's going to force Grambling to kind of get out of what they want to do, which is throwing the ball all around the yard, and that plays perfectly into what Jackson State does in the back half of the defense.
And Jamie, I'll say this too. Like whenever I play ball, we played, our offense was primarily a spread offense, right? We always had difficult times whenever we would face teams that love to run the football, because every day you're not used to playing against offensive linemen that are coming out and they're attacking you. A lot of times those offensive linemen, they're pass pro and then they're going to go. You know what I'm saying? They're going to run draws. They're going to run spread runs, outside runs. They're not coming full press at you. So a lot of times for a lot of those teams like Jackson State, they're running spread offenses. They're not used to getting hit in the mouth every day. So I think that kind of creates matchup nightmares because they're not used to seeing those kind of offenses. It's kind of like playing Georgia Tech,
Yes.
It's just different.
I think if Jackson State loses the game, it'll be to Southern or Alcorn.
Okay. All right. Let's get back to Southern then. All right. So we started this out talking about Alabama State, playing at UCLA, Southern playing at LSU. Let me ask you this, Jamie, because we talked about the exposure and stuff. The HBCUs have gone played in the Rose Bowl. They've been in Macy Day parades and stuff. there are some players who know. I'm not players. I'm sorry. There are fans and stuff that know about HBCUs and stuff. But again, this is the first time LSU has ever played Southern in Tigers or in football. Period. This is the first time UCLA has ever played a HBCU. Is this too little, too late?
No, I think it really depends on what the goal is.
Okay.
I think ultimately, if you see those teams matched up, I think it's really a philosophy type of thing when it comes to these teams playing, because when you're looking at, it was really interesting that this is literally the first time LSU has played Southern right there in the same town, and so I think there are a lot of different elements to that. I think some good, some bad. Because when you look at the type of talent that LSU recruits, they, of course, Southern wouldn't be on their level as far as talent. Let's just be frank about it. But I think it's interesting that Southern has traveled to the University of Georgia to play UGA. I think they've gone to other places to play other Power 5 schools. So why not play, someone right there in your backyard? Because I think it's just good for the town. So again, I think it's just really depends on your school of thought and your philosophy. But no, it's not too little, too late at all. In fact, I think as you're in the time of the transfer portal, and as more teams are getting talented, I think not to say they'll ever be on the Power 5 level, but I will say the talent is evening out some. Those players that weren't able to make, first team or first string basically on a Power 5 squad, going to these other places and finding places to play, especially if the NFL starts to go into the HBCU route or FCS route, and you see some of these teams kind of even out a little bit, and you say, hey, really somebody takes the philosophy, I can go anywhere and play and still get into the professional football, then I think, why not go play Power 5s? You never know what'll happen. You see how many upsets happened over this weekend when it came to FCS squads?
Oh, we're about to talk about all of them. Yes.
So yeah, I absolutely think this is not too little, too late at all. I think you'll see more of it.
When not to your point about the transfer portal, I know like there was a guy who played at LSU. We played Louisiana Tech, and after that game, he decided he was going to enter the portal. Not after that game, but after the season, when he decided he was going to enter the portal, us playing Louisiana Tech made him go look at Louisiana Tech as an option, and that's ultimately where he landed. So some of these Power 5 schools playing Alabama State or playing, Southern, some of those players, if it don't work out for them, they see, the talent that they're playing up against. They see the coaching that those other guys are getting, live action. They're seeing it right there when they're playing against them. So that might make them consider Alabama State or FAMU or, one of these other HBCUs because they realize how good the coaching is and the talent level that they're playing against.
Right. I would also add, too, the significance of, LSU and Southern playing yesterday was amazing. When is the last time you can say LSU had over 200,000 people on campus?
For a non-conference game.
Yeah, for a non-conference game, a packed-out stadium for a non-conference game, for an FCS opponent. So the fact that, you had people in my section, it was a good time. You know what I'm saying? Rarely ever do you have a good time with the opposing fans. You know what I'm saying? It was like honestly, it was like a family reunion. You know what I'm saying? And it was just good. It was good to being around. It was a great attitude.
So
you had my bad, Pooh.
No, go ahead. No, I was just gonna say y'all were at the game, so y'all didn't see. They actually SEC Network talked with the band director at Southern, Kendrick Taylor. Shout out to 251. I just want to throw that in there. But he talked about the last time that the two bands played together was 2004 for the championship parade when LSU won the Natty and Southern won the SWAC. He was in the band during that time.
Yeah,
wow.
18. That's 18 years ago. That was the last time, and they're literally down the street from each other.
Right.
So,
right. It was something that was long overdue, man.
Yeah.
Something like honestly, I'm gonna be real with you guys. I go to a lot of LSU games. I feel like I was on. I feel like I was at Southern. Just walking on the campus yesterday.
I said this.
It was good.
I haven't seen like the atmosphere like that, like tailgating wise and stuff. Like you had opposing fans. Obviously, they are pretty much co-workers, neighbors, and everything like that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But you had everybody Southern LSU tents right beside each other, and everybody just having a good time, celebrating, partying, having it carrying on. But and it wasn't after the game. It was the same way. It wasn't that Southern lost, so they fans are mad and bitter. Nah, they were still partying and having a good time, man. So I think that definitely something that needs to happen more frequently. Put Southern in that rotation of all the state schools that we play, so we can have that like once every 5-6 years.
I would also say too, man. It was good having everybody together, but I'm gonna be honest with you, we can't. I don't think Southern should play a game like that every year, um, because a lot of those guys they were getting blown up, bro. And I'm looking at people getting hit on kickoff returns, and I'm like, ooh, 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 don't
Yeah.
hurt them. Ooh, you know what I'm saying? Just because the level of competition is so different and the players are so bigger, if I'm being completely honest. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it comes to a point to where how safe are some of these games? Like, granted, it's great for the coaches, great because it's a money game. It puts money into your budget and everything like that. But when it comes to the health of these kids, and it's 51-0 at halftime.
My another question you said about it being a money game. At what point? And I know Southern and Alabama State and every FAMU from who went to play North Carolina and all these schools who play these money games. I know they're not gonna come out and kind of speak out against it. But at what point do HBCUs start demanding the same pay as some of the other FCS and G5 schools get? Um, if you look at what LSU plays ULM, versus what they pay Southern, or if you look at what Auburn pays, whenever they play UT Martin, for example, or somebody like that, versus what they play whenever they play a HBCU school. When is FCS, I mean HBCU pay going to be equal to non if to PWI pay? Do you think, Jamie?
I think like everything else, it's what you're willing to take. So you got to be willing to turn it down
Negotiate.
if it's not equal, or negotiate. I
Yeah.
mean, like if someone wants you in a certain spot that bad, they'll pay for it. And so I think there was so much historical significance um to that game last night that hey, it was like, okay, we'll get our money back. It's just worth it
Yeah.
happening. Just based on the culture and people talking about it. I've heard this conversation from a lot of people as far as what the atmosphere was, just how everything went. It was, seemingly all love. But I think when you're looking at certain squads, it really just depends on how they're structured. Because when it comes to money, I think you're talking about underfunding when it comes to state institutions, particularly when it comes to the academics. But the
Mm.
extra comes from alumni.
Yeah.
And when your alumni bases are not showing up and are not giving as they should, that makes it hard. You can't take and give those funds or allot those funds to other places. For example, let's take a Howard University. Their endowment is up there amongst the highest in HBCU lore, but they're not necessarily willing to take that money and put it into athletics. And so when you're looking at, the playing of money games, athletic funds oftentimes have live or die by that money game. There are some teams that can't play money games because their scholarship allotments aren't where they're supposed to be. For example, Mississippi Valley. You never seen them play those big time money games because they're having to get themselves into a place to be able to do it. But to answer your question, they're more valuable to some schools more than others. There's a school of philosophy that says you shouldn't play them because it's demoralizing to a team, and people are not going to want to come to your institution based on getting blown out. It just emphasizes the stereotype that HBCUs aren't in the running. And truthfully speaking, they aren't in that way. They're great institutions, but if you're making those comparisons, there are some comparisons where Nick Saban is getting paid more than the entire athletic budget at an institution.
Right.
So it's not comparable at that instance. Then there's some that feel like, yeah, we need this money. Let's go play this game. And when you're talking about athletes wanting to compete against athletes, you go play anybody. You know what I'm saying? So there's those schools of thought. So it just depends on the way your school is structured.
And I also think whenever you look at what the alumni can do, as far you mentioned donating, but whenever, like, let's take LSU Southern for example. If whenever the alumni and the fan base come out and they support and the LSU looks at how big of it is, how big that game is to Southern, then whenever they come to the negotiation table next time, Southern has something that, they have more leverage because they say, look how much money we brought y'all last time we played. You know what I mean? So, and it's not just for that game, but whenever FAMU plays North Carolina, you know what I mean? If the alumni and the fan base travel to that game and they show up and they spend their money and FAMU is able to come to the table and say, well, we sold out our tickets, we did this. We won't take 750,000 next time. We need 1.2 million next time. You know what I mean? Like, you have to do your part as a fan base for where the school can benefit from it.
Then I mean, look, LSU plays Grambling State next year.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? If I'm Grambling, I'm doing the Birdman hands. You know what I'm saying?
You need to look at what Southern did and be like, we need to have that same kind of representation.
Exactly.
Yeah. Jonathan Burrs has this makes this statement. He said, but what about Southern playing Florida Memorial? Playing Southern was Florida Memorial's money game. We can't have it both ways. And I do know that Deion's first game was against Edward Waters. So yeah.
And then UAPB played who they played?
North American something.
Yeah, North America. Yeah. So they have their money games also.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. But I don't know. My solution is not a popular one. And Jamie, I think we kind of brought this up and talked with you about this. I know we've talked about it a lot on HBCU Hour. Deion mentioned it. We talked about it last Thursday. Instead of having all these classic at neutral sites, have them home and start making that money and keep them at home. But that's a different story for a different day.
That's part of it for sure.
That's a different story for a different day. Jamie, thank you for coming on. Like I said, yesterday was so significant. We couldn't have, Albie Score, the voice of the people for HBCU commentary coming on. But I do want to say this. I don't think you called the game today. Who that though?
Oh man, look, I told you. I've been off that narcotic for 2 years. I enjoy my Sundays now. Yeah, I caught wind of it that they finally gave up. They gave up another fourth quarter lead. So look, I was fine. I was chilling in my recliner. I didn't even look at the game. But congratulations to all you Saint fans. I'm party with you next time I'm down the way. I'm all good though. I'm good. I'm off the Atlanta Falcon narcotic.
I'm gonna say this. We retired 28-3 around here after today. 26-10 has taken its place, and that will be the new saying from now. 26-10, brother.
All right. But I appreciate you having me on, man.
Thank you,
as always. Let the people know where they can find you.
On, buddy.
Oh man, you will find me. Of course, find me on Twitter at SportVoiceJW. Also, ESPN Plus. I will be calling both color and play-by-play. First game I'll be calling will be from Lane College as they host. What game is that? They host Central State. So yeah, I'll be doing color for that game. So yeah, man, catch me anywhere. We talking about HBCU sports.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Ladies and gentlemen, that was our man, Mr. Jamie Walker. Thank you again, Jamie. All right, fellas.
Can we talk some college football some more, bro?
That's what we're doing.
Oh, okay.
We got plenty. We got plenty.
I
To
mean,
talk
it's
about.
so much to talk
You
about.
got the script. How you not know it?
I know. I'm just so excited.
All right. Yesterday, we started the show. We talked about this being 2007-ish. Upsets. You had Texas 8-4 losing to Appalachian State.
Told y'all.
I don't think anybody disagree with you, Chris.
No, it was some people in the space. Hey, LSU lost. Texas A&M better than them. No, they not.
That's all right. I took App State in the points, so I appreciate that.
Look,
I think
you
I
wasn't in there,
called it
Ant.
last week.
Hold on, Daniel. I'm so sorry. I got to tell Ant this because he
No,
wasn't
you
there.
good.
I think you would agree with me. When you mention the top SEC schools, is Texas A&M worthy?
Chris,
of
is that a
being
conversation we need to be having now?
named? I'm just asking.
But go ahead.
When you meant top what? Top 5?
Top
what?
3. It was top 3.
Oh no.
Okay.
No.
All right, go ahead, Daniel.
Okay. No, I mean, look, I think I called it also. If you guys want to check out our show from last week, I think I called it upset. App State versus Texas A&M. But look, it's great. But I do want to kind of elaborate on the comparison between Texas A&M coaches, and there should be more. There should be a little bit more uproar on the from the Texas A&M fan base.
I get that. That's your altar call, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I ain't think we was going to elaborate on that, That's your
but I said it later. I said I'm going to elaborate later on.
Oh, I thought you said I think we should elaborate. My bad. I hear you. Well, yeah, I'm gonna have to. Y'all two, them two right there. Them two.
Yeah, I said elaborate. You need clean them headphones up, bro. Come on.
I might need to. Marshall, Notre Dame.
I'm gonna talk about this one later.
Okay, because obviously Brian Kelly ain't the only one who can't coach, and maybe he didn't recruit well.
Huh?
We'll see.
They the comparison was always made, and I hope this ain't what the comparison was always made. Who would win a national championship first, Brian Kelly or Marcus Freeman? I guess it's probably easy to say who would win a Power 5 game first. And I think the answer still for both would still be
neither one
Brian
of them.
Kelly.
Mm-hmm. Look,
Washington. Okay,
go ahead.
No, I have to say Washington State over Wisconsin. They went into Wisconsin and won 17-14.
Wasn't expecting that one.
A tough place to win.
I mean, I love it. That's college football, man. Any given Saturday, you could be beat. Like even watching the Alabama game yesterday, Texas just he had it.
That close.
He had him.
Yeah.
What's y'all top upsets y'all ever seen?
So we still got one more, Chris. We weren't done. You still ain't. You got the upset of upsets yesterday too, when you had Georgia Southern beat Nebraska.
That wasn't an upset of upsets.
Why wouldn't?
The App State game was more.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, you know what? I give you that. You
but it was
absolutely
still
right.
it still was unexpected.
Marshall was the biggest one. If
Yeah.
we're gonna be honest with you.
If you're gonna go, and they beat the win down there in South Bend. Yeah, looked pretty big. What a
Because
black
App State is still a pretty good football program.
App State should be ranked.
Right.
Marshall ain't as good as App State.
Right. But I mean,
but yeah,
But
with the upset of Nebraska.
That one
is
led
now
to
gone.
that led to him getting fired, so that's a little more important of an upset, I guess.
right. But shout out to Mickey Joseph.
Hey, the first black coach in Nebraska in any sport.
Right.
Wow.
Right. But not only that, guys.
They said you one thing, you don't need to move up there.
Okay. But I mean, the benefit of Mickey Joseph, how many coaches get fired the second game of the season? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is literally a job.
It's an audition.
Yeah. I mean,
But-
turn this around.
third. This is third. That was third. Yeah, because they played the week 0. This was a long time coming.
Either way, though, I don't. No offense, Mickey Joseph, but I don't know if they're gonna go in that direction.
This is albeit it was Les Miles got fired 4 games into the season.
Yeah.
But this I feel like it was the same situation. The difference is Les Miles should have happened the year before. The difference is Les Miles was actually winning.
Right.
Yeah.
Les Miles lost to Auburn, bro, when they fired him, bro.
Yeah. The problem is the program became stagnant. Under Scott Frost, Nebraska didn't. They
lost so many 1-point games, man.
which tells me that there's some decision making by the coach that led to them losing.
Right.
You know, because it ain't you in every game, so it's not a talent thing, bro.
That's right.
Yeah. And everybody in the chat, sorry, I know we kind of been talking and hadn't necessarily been getting to your comments, but shout out to everybody. Carl Dunn, he talking about the Southern game yesterday. Said he never had that much traffic for a non-conference game. He didn't get home until after 1.
Yeah. I left at halftime and I was stuck in
traffic.
It's
like
2 hours.
Week, dog.
2 hours.
No, I feel like it was different.
A regular week, bro. That really suck.
Chris, no, bro. It took me 2 hours just to make it to the interstate, dog.
Facts.
Oh yeah, that might be a little. Yeah, it might be a little bit.
and that's with contraflow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it's still 2 hours to get to the interstate.
Chris, I left before the halftime show was even over.
Oh, you didn't stay the whole game?
No.
How long it took you to get out of there?
Man, it took me close to 2 hours. I wouldn't have to get out of there, bro.
Yeah, bro.
It was bad.
Then you got to count the walk to the car and all that.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, but I'm sorry. Let's get I just want to acknowledge our people in the chat. We appreciate y'all and stuff. Surprise teams from yesterday.
Texas.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Biggest surprise was Texas yesterday.
Texas for sure. Yeah.
Quinn Ewers surprised the heck out of me.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
Kentucky.
Yeah, that probably was a bigger surprise, bro. Because they was like Kentucky ain't got an O-line or anything. They beat them by 10 points in Gainesville.
Yeah, Kentucky.
I think too. I mean, Nick Saban saying that Texas played them like an SEC team and that they're going to be ready for the SEC is big time.
Bro, if you look at it, they ready.
They got the trenches, bro. Their offensive line is young, but their offensive line is legit.
I think Oklahoma ready too. If Texas A&M can play over here, they can. I think they're better programs than Texas A&M. They are.
I think the difference between Texas A&M and Oklahoma is Texas A&M has more talent in that area compared to Oklahoma. There's not as much talent in the state of Oklahoma.
They always have, but I bet you the head-to-head series is Oklahoma's favor.
I got one that y'all probably ain't didn't pay attention to or didn't even. Illinois over Virginia, 24-3.
I ain't pay attention to that, dog. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Man, Pooh be watching the lamest games. He'll come in.
I'm sorry, Chris. I actually do a podcast that cover sports, so I like to be informed.
So that's Tony not Tony. What's his name?
Tony Elliott.
Tony Elliott, yeah, and Brett Bielema, right, from Illinois.
That's it. Mm-hmm. And then another one is Kansas, West Virginia.
Kansas.
Somebody say they're gonna be pretty good this year.
They beat West Virginia in overtime, 55-42. So, and I know y'all
over Houston too.
Texas Tech over Houston. I watched the end of that. That was heartbreaking.
Hey, your take on that Houston going down the drain.
No, that's just the first loss in Texas. They might not. So here's the thing, Chris. Houston has not lost a conference game, or didn't lose a conference game, a regular season conference game all last year. So they still get that what's called. But here, when I first saw Kansas beat West Virginia 55-42 in overtime, I was like, how is that possible? But they got the ball first, they scored, and then West Virginia threw a pick six. And so, yeah, they went in overtime and still beat them by 2 possessions. So.
And then the BYU Baylor game last night too.
That was a great game too. BYU.
Who ended up winning that game?
BYU
in overtime.
Yeah.
Baylor wasn't gonna do nothing.
Man, Baylor is still a good program. BYU is an
Very
excellent
good.
program, Chris.
BYU Chris. You say that,
Top notch.
but you say that, and then you'll be like, "Pooh watched the lamest games." But I know that that BYU ain't no slouch like you think, because you thinking about a name, and I'm looking at what they doing this year.
But somebody on this show or in Spaces, I don't remember, said that they picked Baylor to win that the Big 12, whatever.
They still can.
Yeah, they still can.
Dude, they ain't beating Texas or Oklahoma.
Why
They
not?
might not beat TCU with all that speed they got.
Based
off what?
Because Texas lost yesterday.
Because
too.
they lost to Alabama.
Because they went to BYU and lost in overtime.
The Pac-12 champion should be able to go to BYU and win that game.
They're not the Pac-12; they're in the Big 12. First of all,
I mean, Big 12.
BYU is a top 25 team, so you should be able to go on the road to a top 25 team and win automatically.
Oh, I guess that goes to my next question. What we learned about other teams? Chris, tell us what you learned.
You talking about teams around the country or my team?
We talking about other teams. We know about LSU. We know.
I learned Texas A&M. They the same Texas A&M. Okay. Georgia is the number one team in the country. Alabama is beatable. Florida, we jumped out there a little too far for Florida. They still got us from.
I don't think we jumped out too far for Florida. We jumped out too far for Anthony Richardson.
Both,
right?
Both. Because we had tied Florida to him.
Yeah.
I think if we're being honest, it's still week 2, guys. I mean, like people making a big deal about LSU losing last week to Florida State. We don't know how good Florida State is. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's still week 2. It's a long football season. Like, just because Baylor lost to BYU yesterday, that don't mean they're gonna lose to Texas. That doesn't mean that they're gonna lose to Oklahoma. Teams have injuries. Teams get better. They gel better. Just like LSU, we were talking about the running game earlier. Once our offensive line gels, it's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? We'll be fine. So I just think it's week 2. It's week 3 technically.
And y'all know what's crazy? We thought we had a quarterback problem. Notre Dame got the biggest quarterback problem in the country.
Notre Dame has an offensive coordinator problem.
I did not think we had a quarterback problem.
Yeah. I mean, they fans did, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
We'll get to their fans. We'll get to their fans.
I learned about Arkansas. I feel like they're Tennessee, legit. Honestly, and Tennessee, both of them, they're legit, and they can put up points.
Tennessee,
they can put up points whenever they want to, and in different ways too. Not just passing the ball.
Tennessee was down.
You got that based off of South Carolina.
They played Cincinnati too. Cincinnati ain't necessarily no.
They still like that. Man, come on, man.
Chris, it's a conference game. If I can't take that off a conference game, what I can take it off of?
Come on, that's South Carolina though, man. That's they right down there with
you taking Georgia being the best team in the country, or playing Samford
and playing Oregon?
Off the Oregon game.
But Oregon is.
Let me ask you a question. Who does Oregon? Who is Oregon's head coach now, and what has he done?
I forgot his name, but I know he was Georgia's defensive coordinator last year.
Okay, so this is first head coaching job, right?
Exactly.
Chris, you're making my point, and you saying exactly.
Yeah. Just saying you're right.
I'm gonna tell you something, Chris. Bruh. Arkansas is a team. It's not Arkansas from 3-4 years ago. This is a completely different program, bro. Like, you have to respect them. You have to. Like, I get what you're saying about Arkansas. We're used to Arkansas being trash, not being good. They're good and they're consistent.
Now, they wasn't always sorry. You know what I mean? I'm just saying
they put up 44 points, Chris.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying is they're not a team that you gotta, you know, 17 points. 17 points is enough to beat them. No, they're not that team.
I'm gonna ask this, Chris. I don't know if you know or not, but I'm gonna ask this, and the answer is not Arkansas, but it's another team that you seem to disrespect. What team scores the scores the most points in the first quarter, first half in all of college football? What team scores the most points in all of college football in the first quarter and the first half?
What teams?
One team.
I don't know.
Okay. It's Tennessee. Tennessee jumps out, and now Tennessee is starting to show that they're getting a little backbone on that defensive side.
Mm-hmm.
So when you saying, you know what I'm saying, oh, it's Tennessee, they trash, they sorry, or oh, it's Arkansas, things change from year to year. Pittman may not be the end all be all
I
as
like
far
Pittman,
as
though.
you know what I'm saying, as far as I think he's a great coach.
Yeah.
What he's doing at Arkansas and what he's building, he's doing it pretty quick, and he literally took over a team that hadn't won a conference game in 2 years.
Right.
And like Carl said,
Somebody tell me who Arkansas play next.
Carl said they won 5 of their last 6 conference games.
Right.
I mean, in the SEC, that's pretty impressive, bro.
Right. But I would also say I understand Chris' point, but there's a large part of our fan base that kind of feels the same way Chris does. You know, like, guys, programs are not going to be doormats forever. If you can remember, LSU hasn't always been a power. You know what I'm saying? Like, we haven't.
Alabama hadn't always been Alabama.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I see my boy Renard in here from Down South Football Podcast. Renard, tell me you remember 93 to 2006. Tell me how many Alabama fans was talking about they finna win a national championship in them years.
Exactly.
They wouldn't. I guarantee you that.
Man, I ain't even know who Alabama was when I was growing up, bro.
I mean, and look at USC, guys. I mean, USC was dominant in the early 2000s. Dominant.
Doormat. Then they became a doormat for a little while.
Exactly. So I mean, I think we just you got money coming into the SEC.
Yeah. Renard say, how many Alabama put talking about national championship? 0. As a matter of fact, Ryan and Amanda Gidrick. What's up, Ryan and Amanda? 0 in that time. So
that's correct.
Thank you. We all know it's. But let me ask y'all this. Let's move on because we can stay on this all day. I actually brought this question up. Say what?
Oh, my bad. I'm lagging. I'm behind. I'm sorry.
Okay. I had this question before the announcement was made. Coaches on the hot seat early. Well, I guess that chair done burnt up and Scott Frost is gone. So, any other coaches y'all see on the hot seat?
Herm Edwards.
Yeah.
Oh,
what's funny, man?
Man, I'm gonna go with Notre Dame coach. I can't think of his name right now.
Marcus Freeman.
Man,
But Marcus Freeman.
Stop.
Hey, you know what? I don't know.
Stop it, bro.
Man,
I don't think he's on the hot seat, but I think his leash is short. I think he'll get a couple years. Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about that.
All right. Look, I'll say this too, and I'm kind of like with this one. I understand that you paid him $100 million, but Jimbo, he better make some shape within the next year or two. That's all I'm saying.
Well, we got that long. You go 8-4 again. They keep him.
I mean, I think with his recruiting class, his number 1 recruiting class, I think that's 2 years.
Actually, you know what? A&M might be. He don't have a buyout, if I'm not mistaken. Because that's what Scott Woodward. Because that's when LSU was looking for a coach. That was one of the things that kept coming up. Is Scott Woodward didn't put a buyout in his contract. I don't know if that changed because he did re-sign. But that's something to look at.
Hey, Carl Dunn makes a great point. Auburn's head coach. My man, I don't care how many games he wins this year. He's forever going to be on the hot seat. Whenever you have boosters trying to come up with conspiracy theories to get their head coach fired for no reason, it's crazy. You're always on the hot seat, man.
That's true.
Yeah,
that is true.
Great point, Carl.
I'm trying to think who else lost yesterday. Nick Saban, he didn't lose, but he was close. He put him on the hot seat.
You think Nick Saban's on the hot seat?
Well, hey,
I'm just talking.
On the flip side, I think Sark's seat might have cooled off a lot.
Oh,
the game yesterday.
Sark, yeah. What
about Frank Beamer?
It would not surprise me.
Ooh. Frank Beamer.
Shane Beamer. Frank Beamer retired. His son.
Yeah, I'm about to say.
No. Last year, Chris.
Let me see.
Last year they predicted them to go
3-9.
3-9 or something like that,
Mhm.
and he literally made a bowl game and
What a-
won that bowl game.
What a
and told
grad
them-
assistant quarterback for most of the season.
and told those
Yeah.
same reporters that said and told them same reporters that said that he was on what you call it. He said, "How you like me now?" Basically,
Gotta love it.
gotcha. He said we'll talk about the real of them situation offline. I got you, Renard. I don't know. It's. I think the seat, the person who I was thinking about who had the hottest seat is gone. They got rid of him today.
Mhm.
Scott Frost. I will say this. I don't think his seat is hot, but it's starting to warm up a little bit. Gus Malzahn at UCF, because it's a lot of winnable games he's lost.
I can see that.
But he should be still at Auburn. Many times he
should
beat
be.
Bama.
But that's
I think-
another thing, Chris. That's go
got
to the
a
point of my boy Renard.
I got a name.
Gotcha.
David Shaw at Stanford.
Ooh,
Mm.
man, David Shaw been there a long time, and he ain't
He's
doing nothing
rode
like
that. What's the
He's been
quarterback?
there since. He's
wrote
been there
that
since-
Andrew Luck. He's rode Andrew Luck coattail for a long time,
But
man.
no, I'm saying
He wasn't a coach for Andrew Luck.
he had
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was.
No, he wasn't. I thought Jim Harbaugh was.
Jim Harbaugh left too and went to the NFL, and
Harbaugh left.
he been there since. David Shaw been there since Harbaugh left.
Right. Okay. That's my bad.
But David Shaw, they'll win a game like they beat USC last year, but it's like they win one game they ain't supposed to win, and then they keep him around for the whole 2 years after that. So I don't know how long he gonna keep getting away with that, man.
But he is at Stanford, and it's hard to recruit there.
Yeah, it is, but at the same time, it's like if you
If he
could
can
do it
get
then,
9 games a year, he'll
if
stay.
you could do it then, why you ain't doing it now?
Jason Brumfield says start seat should be warmed up because he blew that game. I think he didn't blow that game. I hate doing this. I think that's on the referees because they got robbed.
Mm-hmm. That should have been
a lot of them calls. Yeah,
Yeah,
Should have been a what?
safety.
safety.
Yeah, and then there was a holding call they missed on that Bryce Young scramble and some other. But
Yep.
I would say if
I got
Quinn
one more
Ewers
coach
don't
for
get,
y'all too.
if Quinn Ewers don't get hurt, Texas wins that game.
Bama always
what's his
beat
name?
Texas off a
Drinkwitz?
quarterback getting hurt.
Say that
Drink
again.
Missouri,
Yeah.
Eli Drinkwitz.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think he's almost out of it. He's been there since 19, and they haven't really done anything.
yeah, he came from App State.
Yeah.
What about did Louisville win?
They did. They beat Central Florida. That's why I said that.
Hey,
UCF.
if they would have lost, I would have said Satterfield from Louisville, because he kind of the same as Drinkwitz.
Yeah. All right, fellas. NFL Week 1, and currently Tampa Bay and the Cowboys are
I'm
playing.
ready to watch it.
Score is 12-3 Tampa Bay. It's been a field goal fest. But let's get to somebody who actually matters. The Saints.
The Saints.
Right.
They
That's all.
started
Chris,
off.
what's up? What you was talking, boy?
Yeah,
I'm a Saints
start
fan.
out slow.
Shut your head up.
all that.
No.
So you a Saints fan that was saying Drew Brees need to come back because Jameis can't get it done.
Yep.
Mike Thomas,
Andy
we need to get rid of
Dalton.
Mike Thomas. We need to get
Right.
rid of Mike Thomas. He terrible,
Right.
man. He don't even want to be here no more.
Facts.
Hey, I apologize for all that stuff. So leave it alone. Now them boys proved me wrong, and I'm happy they did.
Hey, look, it was so good to see Jabo Jameis connect
J-Boo.
with Landry, bro.
J-Boo.
J-Boo.
Boy,
Hey,
you
When
been
J-Boo
chilling.
get in the mood to throw the ball, he can throw that song on. I couldn't say the
When
word.
When he
I
has
wanted to say.
when he has time.
When he has time.
Okay, I give y'all that.
That
So
offensive
it's-
line get their
I want to
butts
say some
mashed.
other words, but we
I just
on,
want to say
We
I just
lied.
want to say, can we kill the Mike Thomas is a slant route only guy? Can we kill that narrative now?
Oh yeah, that's
Yep.
dead. That's dead. He's
Yep.
best receiver in the league to me now.
Let me say,
After one
okay.
game.
One extreme to the next. All right, so
Crazy.
I just want to do this. I want to shout out my boy, our guy, our man, Juice
Yeah.
Landry.
Yeah.
Yes.
First game, as a
114.
Saint. Yeah, so it was 7 catches, 114, and
Oh,
he
had
had
114?
Mhm.
yes.
Okay.
the catch on the sideline to set up the field goal or help set up the field goal.
Yeah.
What a catch!
Beautiful,
And
beautiful
that
play.
Chris Olave came up clutch too in that 2-point conversion.
he did. That was the dumbest. Also, the dumbest NFL rule. The referees almost screwed the Saints because he did get touched inbounds.
Yeah, he did, but they didn't call him down there.
They didn't call him down.
They said he got out. He got up and ran out of bounds. Then the clock stopped. That's why Jameis spiking the ball was intentional grounding because the clock stopped. No, that makes sense. Spiking the ball
the clock stopped.
stopped.
But that's something that should be
that
should be something that should be reviewed. In my opinion,
I feel like the referee should have did a better job of letting them know that the clock was stopped.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. So okay, let's say
if you review that, you lose like 10, 15 yards because he got up and ran down.
No, he only ran 2 yards.
No,
he got pushed out. He
ran by 5 to 10 yards.
Hey, let me ask you this question though.
Well, they still lost yards anyway because it was a 10-yard penalty. And they still call it.
So let me ask you this question: If you were on the Falcons, if you were a Falcons fan, how would you feel about that call? You'll probably like it. You get what I'm saying? So I mean, if it happened to us,
that they had attention to ground.
So here's the thing. Say
as far as like the referee.
Okay, hold on. So
telling me, go ahead.
So here's the thing: if he would have got up, because they touched him on down, if he had got up and ran to the end zone, and they would have called touchdown, they would have reviewed it anyway, right?
Maybe.
Yeah,
okay.
Because all touchdowns are reviewed.
Because they would have told, you know what I'm saying? They would have reviewed it and see if he got touched.
Well, all touchdowns are reviewed. They wouldn't have reviewed it just to see if he got touched. You know, like if he got pushed out at the 1, they wouldn't have reviewed that. They just reviewed it if he scored because all touchdowns are reviewed.
But my thing is, I don't want the referee saying, "Hey man, your guy ran out of bounds. You should spike the ball at this one."
Exactly. Yeah.
No,
you know what I mean?
I don't want the referee telling the opposite team to do. Now, if it's my team, they tell that too. I'm cool with that. But if I'm on the opposite side of that, no.
And at the same time, you could argue that the Saints shouldn't have been in such a rush.
Yeah.
And that they should have kind of, figured out what the down distance and the situation was a little bit better.
Hey, right. Carl Dunn said James went to the injury team, got the Holy Ghost. Hey, because if you see, he came out he was talking to the. Did y'all see the post game interview? He was talking. He was like, "I went in there and I just prayed because I was in pain." She said, where was the pain? All over.
There's pain all over. But you got to fight through.
I love it.
Now, that boy James came out. He saw Andy Dalton warming up, and he was like, "Oh, nah, you ain't finna take my job today."
Hey, you know what? I was thinking the same thing because I seen Andy Dalton. I was like, all right, well, maybe, he'd give us a little spark or something like that. James came out and balled.
You ain't finna take my job, son.
Wow. Hey, but what do y'all think? Did y'all get a chance to watch the Bengals game?
Yeah, I was actually finna to move on to the other games. So let me get. I just want to give a score recap. Some of the other games.
Okay.
Horrible day for Joe Burrow. He was 33 of 53 for 338 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 4
picks,
4 interceptions. They found themselves. I'm not sure. The offensive line did not look better for what they added though. TJ Watt was tearing Lyle Collins a new one. But then he got injured. He tore his pectoral muscle.
That's tough too, man. That's tough.
Yeah.
But with all that being said, Joe Shiesty, put him in the game, gave him much opportunity, and basically, their normal long snapper was out, so they had a backup. Some guy who I don't know what his credentials, if he snapped in high school or college or whatever, but he was snapping. And as with game on the line, they scored like 4 seconds left. Yeah, they scored 4 seconds left. He snapped the ball slow and a little bit high. It gave Pittsburgh a chance to block it.
Right. As a matter of fact, guys, they scored the same time as the Saints did. I'm watching the Saints and the Bengals at the exact same time they scored.
Yeah. They gave him another. Actually, they gave him another. Well, I ain't gonna say they got the ball back in field goal range again. Snapped the kick kicked the field goal. He snapped it high and threw off the kick, and it went wide left. So Steelers end up coming down with time runs out, and they kick the field goal to win it. The Bears shocked.
Wait, hold on. Can I say something real quick?
No,
because I know you said
the Bears. No, the Bears in the 49. What you got?
Host, can we vote? No, I'm just playing. Hey, is it tough to say that LSU has put out probably the 2 best wide receivers in the National Football League within the last 2 years, last 3 seasons?
I think it's safe to say that LSU is probably. I think it's
Jamar Chase. I'm just saying, Jamar Chase, Jets. Hey,
but you know that those.
But Daniel, if you give me a chance, I would even get to that score so we can talk about Jamar Chase.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. I'm excited. Go ahead.
It's a flow,
and that's why I'm not the host and you are. Go ahead, sir.
Nah, but the Bears, 49ers, Bears. Actually, Jalen Fields. Justin Fields actually didn't look bad. I didn't look at his stats. He didn't look bad. He didn't look terrible. Well,
I think he completed his first pass to wide receiver in the third.
He was 8 of 17, 121, 2 touchdowns.
Don't box score watch now, Pooh.
Yeah, he looked bad.
Don't box score watch. One of them
Man, that boy need to get out of Chicago.
One of them touchdown passes was like 50-something yards, and he like broke out of something, scrambled to the left, and threw it back across the field to a dude who was wide. I'm talking about you couldn't be more wide open than that. So it wasn't like he was back there dicing people up. Nah,
if the Chicago Bears franchise was a meme, it'd be the meme where like it has the garbage thing, and it got fire coming out of it. Like their organization is just trash.
If they had a Madden ranking, it'd be defense like for their franchise history, defense A+, offense D, running backs A. They got running backs, but they ain't got no other skill position, quarterback, wide receiver. They ain't got none of that. They got running backs.
They got rid of Allen Robinson.
Wait, was Muhammad Sanu the best wide receiver that they probably had in over 10, 15 years?
Alshon Jeffrey was probably the best one.
Yeah.
Okay.
But still, though, I mean,
Musa Muhammad. That's Musa Muhammad.
No disrespect, but Alshon Jeffrey ain't like top 10. He ain't no world beater. But Brandon Marshall would probably be their best receiver in my life.
That's true. I forgot about that.
In my lifetime, he was probably their best receiver.
Yeah.
Even then, he mediocre.
And one of their best receivers was a kicker, a DB, Devin Hester.
That's true. Eagles outlasted the Lions 38-14.
Hurts a ball.
Now he looked good. You could say he looked good.
Yes.
Yeah, he was 18-33, 243.
Yeah, I talked a lot of trash about him this offseason.
He can't get Devontae Smith the ball from my fantasy though, bro.
But that's your fault for drafting the wrong receiver because AJ Brown got the ball a lot.
Yeah, AJ Brown 10 catches, 155 yards. DeAndre Swift looked like he had a day. 15 carries, 144 yards.
Jalen Water had a good day too.
Yeah, he a legit dude.
We hadn't got the can we stick to the game we actually talking about?
I'm tripping.
Jesus. Next game, Dolphins Patriots. Now, Chris, what were you saying?
Don't say Popeyes.
Jalen Water had a good game.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. I'll tell you about that too.
Tua quit silencing some of the haters, maybe a little bit. with this game? No,
He's got
quite.
some weapons.
Not quite.
Yeah, give me a couple more games. He got some weapons, bro.
I don't know how good the Patriots are because
Their defense should be good, right? I mean,
they should be.
Yeah, they should be good on defense.
But you know the thing about the Patriots, it kind of reminds me of Sean Payton last year, like thinking that he can turn mediocre receivers into stars because he's Sean Payton. The Patriots organization, they never go after talent because it's not the Patriot way.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? And now look at
I completely agree. I can completely agree.
That's a valid point. Well, you know what? Both of them are Bill Parcells guys. So there you go.
Ravens Jets 24-9. Joe Flacco was 37 or 59 for 307 and a touchdown, but they were behind all day, so he had to throw. Lamar was 17 or 30 for 213, 3 touchdowns and a pick.
I'm just worried about
fullback out there.
Lamar should have took that guaranteed money.
Yeah,
that's another thing. He turned down 250.
He ain't got no deal.
I wouldn't even be playing. He get hurt, he's over with.
Nah.
He got 23. He get 23 mil after this season, though.
If he on the franchise tag, yeah.
Then they want to pay him 300 mil?
Nah, he turned down 230, I think.
What do you want?
230 guaranteed. It was 250, but not all of it was guaranteed, I don't think.
130 was guaranteed.
Yeah.
Washington Commanders, still the stupidest name, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, 28-22 Washington. Now, speaking of quarterbacks, did Carson Wentz silence a few people? 27-41, 313, 4 touchdowns.
Because I watched that. Because I watched that game. He was good in the first half, and in the fourth quarter, in the second half, he wasn't that great. Same old Carson Wentz.
And then Washington lost Matthews too.
Yeah, Matthews got hurt.
Yeah. The Browns beat the Panthers 26-24.
Shout out K York.
Yeah, shout out.
58-yard field goal to win the game.
Hey.
Man.
Hey, what's great? I drafted that dude in every fantasy draft I had because he was like the 16th ranked kicker. And Yahoo telling me you need to improve your kicker spot. And then he goes out here and kicks 58-yard field goal to win the game. Well, a lot of people.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
Chris,
you just be criticizing stuff with no basis to criticize stuff.
Who plays fantasy football? Everybody.
Like 13 million people or some ridiculous number like that. Like, yeah.
I guess.
Chris, I'm gonna put a blanket.
But Christian McCaffrey scored him a touchdown, and he had a couple good receptions too. So
Saquon Barkley had went off.
We hadn't got there yet. I'm trying to get there. Damn. Golly.
Hey,
I'm gonna just walk off one day.
Hilarious. Hey, hold on. Hey, can we talk about the Panthers quarterback real quick? Baker Mayfield.
Booty.
Okay, all right, perfect. Hey, Chris said the perfect word. Thank you. We can move on now. Cheeks.
All right, Colts and Texans.
That boy named.
Go ahead, Chris. What you got?
Nah, I was just gonna say they need to call him General Booty instead of Baker Mayfield. But you can go ahead.
All right, Colts and Texans.
Hold on. Why would they call him General Booty?
I swear I'm about to.
Why would they call him General Booty?
Why are we having this? Can we just finish?
I don't get the correlation, but go ahead.
It's Chris, bro. Ain't no correlation. Keep going, Pooh.
Colts and Texans tied. Colts were down by 20. They were down 20-3. Colts stormed back, scored 17 in the fourth. Derek Stingley actually had a pretty good game.
Yeah,
that's gonna be the highlight. Giants and Tennessee Titans. Giants actually. Saquon had a game, 18 carries, 164 and a touchdown. The Giants scored late in this game, about a minute or so left, and went for 2 instead of kicking a field goal, and got it and won 21-20. The Vikings and the Packers.
Hey,
Yes.
that played on that 2-point. I got Christian Fulton came and tried to wrap Saquon up at the goal line, and he ran into a brick wall, my boy.
Yeah.
Suspected.
Vikings and Packers. Vikings dominated the Packers 23-7. Justin Jefferson had the game. He had 158 yards by halftime receiving.
Number one wide receiver in the league.
He finished the game at 9 receptions, 184 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think he took to heart what Jamar said when Jamar said that he's not the best.
I told everybody that. I told them.
That boy. They got them a new coach too, who letting them open it up a little bit more.
Yep.
And
I'm Jair Alexander.
Justin, he was eating today, bro.
Jets cold, bro.
If the game wasn't out of hand, he probably would have won for 250.
Right. Hey, but you know what? I want to say shout out to the Jeffersons, right? I mean, you go 1 for 3. You know what I'm saying? And your last one you hit. You strike.
Were they really 1 for 3 though?
They wasn't really 1. I can't say they 1 for 3 because all their sons are great young men. I'm just saying.
They had a son who started a national championship as a quarterback.
I think my words. It may have came out wrong.
Their son is actually, if I'm not mistaken, Jordan isn't he like the winningest quarterback at LSU? As far as number of wins,
maybe a percentage or something like that.
I'm talking about NFL wise, man. NFL wise, they had great college careers, all 3 of them. But I'm just saying, the one who is least thought of, as whenever it comes to the college,
that's a backhanded compliment. Very backhanded.
How?
Because you just said shout out to them for being 1 of 3.
All right.
That's just like if I said, Daniel, shout out to you for having 1 of 2 great kids.
That's true. My bad, Jones.
Now, so I can finish the show.
Go ahead.
You know what? I'm changing my altar call. Y'all ass gonna be my altar call. Sorry, Daddy, but them 2.
Oh, so you ain't gonna include Ant? Like Ant didn't say nothing?
You know what? You absolutely right. Thank you for correcting. 3 out of 4. Is that better? To take your words. 3 out of 4.
Hey, Ant is the teacher's pet.
Nah, I messed up one time. Y'all been on it all night. I jumped the gun once.
All right. Kansas City over the Cardinals 44-21. I don't think that's surprising.
Mahomes still Mahomes.
Facts.
Yeah, he was 30 of 39 for 360.
They still win that division.
Slicing them up.
Speaking of other teams in their division, the Chargers and the Raiders, 24-19. That game was not that close until the very end. So that game got out of hand real quick, and Raiders came back.
There's some Raiders fans mad at how much that they thrown about to Devontae Adams. And I didn't think that I would see that, but I know some Raider fans who are like, man, we just sitting there forcing feed the ball to Adams. That ain't working, bro. We gotta try something else. So that's might be something to watch. Hunter Renfrow and Waller, they got weapons. This ain't Green Bay.
Right.
They got to force feed Adams. So I want to see how that dynamic plays long as the season goes.
Let me tell you something. Justin Herbert is the real deal. He is
Keenan Allen got hurt for them, and they still didn't miss a beat on offense.
Nope. Honestly, I had Justin.
He really ain't do much. They had some dude named Palmer and somebody else who was at the killing. Can't remember his name right now.
Tell me, did the guy that transferred from LSU, Johnson, did he play?
I didn't see him.
Oh,
Tyron Johnson.
Yeah. Okay. Let me ask y'all: do y'all still think
I got one more game?
I know. I'm asking a question about the game that we just talked about. We got Justin Justin Herbert, and Joe Burrow. Do y'all still think? Because a lot of people had them 1A, 1B. Do y'all think that Justin is
Joe Burrow is better?
Joe,
I'm still keeping Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow is better. He went to a Super Bowl year 1.
Year 2.
Year 2.
Yeah, year 2.
I don't know, man. I think Justin might be progressing a little bit faster.
I got to see Justin Herbert win. I got to see Justin Herbert win when it matters.
Right.
Okay. I'll say this: if we're gonna say that, just like in boxing, they do pound for pound. I'm gonna put it like this. I'm gonna say it like this: talent for talent. Joe Burrow carries his team. Justin Herbert don't have to carry as much.
Wait,
Did
what?
you talk about Pittsburgh yet, Pooh?
No, you
Yeah,
can't
that was
say
the first game. How you can't? So are you telling me that the Chargers don't have a better roster than Cincinnati?
Cincinnati has weapons too, bro, on offense. Don't get me wrong. I'm not
Okay.
saying Joe is not
You're
great.
talking about offense, right? Now, tell me about the offensive line. Does Justin Herbert have to worry about his offensive line?
No, they have a pretty good.
Does Justin Herbert have to
line.
worry about his defense?
No, he has a pretty good defense.
Okay,
so
now tell me.
So Joe Burrow has a pretty good defense too.
He has a
It's
pretty
not
good
as
defense
talented
now.
as the Chargers, but that defense is pretty good.
That's what I just said.
No,
talent for talent. He has to carry. Joe Burrow has to carry more than Justin Herbert.
I don't think so.
But you literally just said his deep. So just Joe.
You said offensive line. Now let's say offensively.
Yes,
offensively, Joe Burrow has he has more weapons than Justin Herbert has. Better weapons.
He has more time to get them to him too.
That's true.
All right, Pooh, go to the next game.
The last game was the Thursday night game. Buffalo whooped up on the Rams 31-10. That was it. And then we got tomorrow night. Yeah, Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen.
Of that game, bro. Of that game.
Josh Allen, I think he is really solidifying himself as a top 5 quarterback right now.
Yo, easily.
He's been a top 5 quarterback.
He top 2 right now. Him and Mahomes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't argue
up there by himself.
All right, Broncos, Seahawks will be tomorrow night. We'll see Russell Wilson versus the team that he left. So
got winning.
Or that forced him out.
That's crazy. How that happened?
Broncos.
Yeah, the Broncos. I think it's gonna be for bettors. The line is Broncos -6.5. I don't think it'll be that close.
Where are they playing?
In Seattle.
I got Seattle. I'm taking Seattle.
Okay, cool. All right. I had another. I was gonna say any surprises for today, but I think we talked enough about NFL throughout this thing. So, y'all got anything else before we move on to altar call?
Nah, Pooh Bear got to go to sleep. So come on, let's go.
Hit that beat.
I'm about to beat y'all to sleep. All right. Chris. Yeah, I did. You're right. My bad. All right. Chris, since you're in the mood to apologize, we'll let you jump on this thing first. Pause.
Yeah, I just gotta say a quick apology to my Mike Thomas fans, especially my boy Ant. I was very much against Michael Thomas, complaining about him not playing, but he came back and showed why he one of the best receivers in the league today. I'm one of the best cover corners in the league today. Well, considered. I don't think so, but some people in the league consider him one of the better cover corners in the league. And Mike Thomas showed him why he's a top 5 receiver in this league. So congrats to Mike Thomas, and I apologize to my boy Ant and anybody else that was telling me about Mike Thomas.
I'll be waiting for next week for you to apologize to me about Jameis.
That's hilarious.
Daniel, yeah, that's Buzz Chris.
Let's go.
All right. Ant, Daniel, which one? I'm gonna go last.
I'll go right now. All right. Pooh Bear, please pull up the stats. I want Jimbo to come to the altar in the Texas A&M fan base. So I had a lot of Texas A&M fans talk trash about Kevin Sumlin and how he wasn't a great coach, but they love Jimbo Fisher, and you can't say nothing about their Lord and Savior Jimbo Fisher. So I just want I want you fans to take a look at how many wins Jimbo has had within 50 games of coaching at Texas A&M. So wins, he has 35. Jimbo Fisher, Kevin Sumlin has 36. Ranked wins, Jimbo Fisher has 7. Kevin Sumlin has 9. Ranked road wins, Jimbo Fisher has a whopping 0. Kevin Sumlin has 5. Losses to G5 schools, Jimbo Fisher has 1. Kevin Sumlin has 0. So I say all that to say this. Texas A&M fans, Jimbo Fisher is possibly a great recruiter, possibly. But he needs to just hand over the offensive coordinator and offensive play calling to someone else. His offensive scheme is terrible. And he's holding that program back because we know that Texas A&M has God money. But what are they going to do with it if you have a coach who's mediocre? So my altar call is the Texas A&M fan base. It's hilarious.
All right, my altar call is the Notre Dame fan base. Oh boy, will Marcus Freeman ever win a game? People tweeting out stuff like that. People tweeting out stuff like they need to burn the stadium down, and all they had to do was beat Marshall, and they didn't set the program back 20 years or 10 years. It was all fun and games last week whenever LSU lost to Florida State, and they had a close loss to Ohio State. They were saying how Brian Kelly couldn't coach, same old, same old. Marcus Freeman is going to be better than Brian Kelly, and that they're in good hands with Marcus Freeman. And now they're saying stuff like Brian Kelly left them a terrible roster and all these kind of things. But I thought they said that Brian Kelly really didn't recruit at Notre Dame and that all his assistants did all the recruiting. So which one is it? Is it the assistants that are still there at Notre Dame that recruited those players that can't coach them, or is it Brian Kelly still? It seems to me that y'all need to be more worried about y'all's guy, Marcus Freeman, and him as a coach, since he's now 0-3 with a big halftime lead blown to Oklahoma State, a loss where he was winning against Ohio State, and a loss to an FCS program. I mean, not FCS, a Group of 5 program in Marshall. At home at that. So I think y'all need to stop worrying about Brian Kelly and making jokes about him. And y'all need to worry about Marcus Freeman and if he's the right guy for y'all. Because that seat's got to be getting kind of warm, Marcus Freeman. Are you going to win a game?
All right. I guess let's roll this beautiful bean footage. I know some of y'all are thinking, why are we watching some guys sweep a sidewalk? Why are we looking at traffic? Well, those are just not just some guys, and that's not just some sidewalk. That is actually the Alabama State football team in LA at the African American Firefighters Museum. You see, what happened was Coach Eddie Robinson Jr. Took upon himself to not just enjoy the trip to Hollywood and Rodeo Drive and, check out Beverly Hills and look for Axel Foley or nothing like that. When they got to Hollywood, he decided that, hey, we're going to serve a purpose. We're going to do some community service. So what he did was he got his guys. They went to the African American Firefighters Museum, and they cleaned up. They helped clean. I think we talked about prior to the start of the season, what kind of coach would Eddie Robinson Jr. be? And no, he's not the son of the Eddie Robinson from Grambling, but he is still showing that same leadership. He's showing that you can still have character on and off the field. He's showing that no matter what you do, you can serve with a purpose, and you can use your platform to do good and help others. He didn't just go out to California and go out to LA and collect the check. He went out there, and him and his team, they served the community. That wasn't theirs per se, but he did go out there to help others. So that's it. That's all I got. Y'all got in? Oh, Popeyes. You brought up Popeyes Day because that set me off that day. Popeyes brought back the Cajun rice.
Mm-hmm.
They listened to the Golden Boot. They heard me rant. You're welcome.
Hilarious.
I had some like a week or two after they first brought it back. It didn't really hit the same.
It didn't.
I'm gonna give him a little time to to get the recipe right, and then we'll go from there.
I ain't
Yeah,
tripping.
so
I'm lucky. I live in South Louisiana. I can go get dirty rice from a store. It's good.
I can't too. It's all right, y'all. Anything else? Nope. All right, good. And just like that, we out. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe on Twitter at Golden Boot. On Instagram at Golden Boot. On YouTube at The Golden Boot Pod. On Facebook at The Golden Boot Pod.
Golden Boot!